It's that time of year when the nights get darker and the temperatures drop, when in your tent or at your camp you start to think about getting cozy, getting hoogie, that lovely warm feeling. And what better way to do that than with a candle or a small lantern? So in this video I'm going to be comparing the well-known and loved UCO Candle lantern against the fire maple gas orange lantern. I'm going to talk about ease of use, safety, cost, weight, and what it's like to read by. Can you read by it at all? So join me in this video and let's get all wintry. So I'll often like to take one of these camping in the winter. For one, it gives you a little bit of warmth, and secondly, it helps to reduce condensation. Now, keep an eye out, because later on I'm going to be doing a warmth and condensation test when the temperatures drop a little bit more. But in the meantime, have a look at this video that I did previously that talks about how much warmth a candle like this can generate, and indeed will the orange gas lantern generate more heat. Now, I want to thank Fire Maple for sending me this lantern. It's a really cool little thing, and before we go on to the comparison, I'm going to do a quick unboxing. Right, let's have a little look at the box. We've got why buy the orange gas lantern, we picture some contents. Let's have a little look inside. We've got instruction manual, foam liner, we've got the metal lantern body itself, the silica glass, and a hard plastic carry case. Good, fairly simple. And in the instructions manual we've got usual mix of languages, how to use it, and how to light, put out and store. Great. So to assemble, we just screw it onto the bottom of a standard gas canister. Check that's off, and there's a little spring clip in there to just hold that in place, and you can light it through here. So lighting's fairly simple, just turn the gas on and away we go. So obviously it's quite a high flame, it's adjustable all the way from a really high flame, which I would suggest is very high, and a little bit sooty as well, but somewhere around here is quite a nice output. It's down super low, turning up. In normal operation, you just turn that round there, and that stops the wind getting to it. And to turn off, you just turn the gas off like that. And surprisingly, the metal at the base here is quite cool to the touch. The glass going up is warm there, and that's too hot to touch at the top. But otherwise, that's quite cool. I'm sure in a few minutes it'll be ready for putting away. So let's talk about ease of lighting for the UCO. This is a little bit more awkward, especially if the wick's burnt down a little bit. Oh, I'm managing to probably blow it out at the same time. Right, that's better. I think with the turbo light, it just kept blowing it out all the time. Right, great. That's on the go now. So you can see the fine maple one is definitely a little bit easier to light. And in terms of operation, since you've got adjustment, I would say that range there is definitely a lot easier. With the UCO, you've got one light setting and that's it. The only thing that's kind of a little bit more flexible with the UCO is you've got the hanging bracket option there, so you can hang it from your tent, but of course you've got to be very careful to keep it away from objects. That slid down a little bit, hang on. So in terms of safety, both of these lanterns are going to be giving off fumes of carbon dioxide and water vapour and a little bit of soot. Now the gas one is burning a butane propane mix, which is just carbon and hydrogen, and the wax here is petroleum based, which is a little bit more of a complicated chemical. It's carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, but the output in terms of fumes is going to be very similar, but there might be slightly more contaminants with the UCO one. However, research has shown that within a confined space there's no proof that either will emit cancer causing or harmful chemicals. The only thing you do have to be careful of is making sure that you're well ventilated. So if you want to use these in a tent or confined space, make sure you've got plenty of ventilation, but the biggest risk of course is that of fire. So I definitely wouldn't have this near anything, because if you accidentally turn up the wrong way, that's going to be really dangerous. And likewise, the top of the UCO gets very, very hot, and that would melt or set fire to anything that's close to it. I can't even really get my hand close to either of them. There's a lot of heat coming out from them. So you've got to be careful and not to fall asleep with either one, and keep it in a well ventilated area and with lots of space around it. So what about weight? The UCO on its own weighs 180 grams and the fire maple weighs 140 grams, and that's without fuel. Now the paraffin candle weighs 50 grams and the gas cylinder or canister, beg your pardon, this weighs 100 grams empty, but of course it's going to be either weighing 100 grams because there's no gas, or weighing 200 grams when it's completely full. So with its fuel source, the fire maple can weigh around how many grams? So with its fuel source, the UCO candle will weigh 230 grams, and this can weigh up to 340 grams. So with the fuel source, this is always going to be heavier. However, I would argue that the reason this is convenient is because you've got the gas with you anyway, and you've cooked your evening meal, and it's time to get cosy and get your lantern on. So away you go. But let's just weigh these now on my scales. So that's leading 262 grams for the fire maple, and that one is 190 grams, and both of them are about half full with either a candle or gas. So what about running costs? Now the gas on this is going to cost 12 pence an hour to run, and that depends on how high you have it, of course, but fire maple say that it runs 4 grams per hour, and with a 9-hour candle costing around £2.30 per candle, I make that about 26 pence. So the UCO candle is costing more than double per hour to run, and that's assuming for both of them optimum efficiency to burn the candle right down. I don't think these really last 9 hours, but other people might argue. And I'm using a beeswax one in this one, which are more expensive again. So in terms of running costs, the fire maple is definitely much more efficient. Now, purchase costs are very, very similar. Currently, the UCO is around £25, and the fire maple orange gas lantern is around 27 grams. So, very similar. Right, let's have a look at, can you read by these? And I've got an app that measures lux, which is actually the amount of light projected onto a surface, not the amount of light it produces. So I'm going to have a try with them. I don't know how accurate the app is, but we'll give it a go. So surprise, surprise, I'm looking at gear reviews there, and the app there is reading around 200 lux shining onto this magazine page. Let's have a look what that's like with the UCO Candle first. Now, that's with the UCO Candle only, and the light sensor on the phone actually isn't picking that up at all. So actually we really would struggle to read by that. I don't think I can at all. So in terms of reading, it's not happening with the UCO. Some people claim that they can, but these old eyes, it's just not happening. And the phone light meter there is not picking up anything at all. Right, let's switch the orange lantern back on. Oh, it registered 1 then. Yeah, and we'll see if we get anything. Okay, back onto the same page, and the app there is picking up 6 lux. 10 lux there. Let me get out my own shadow. Yeah, that's 13 lux there when I'm not in the shadow. And that for me is bright enough to read by, and I can just turn that up just a little bit so the flame's looking out the top, and I can read by that, absolutely no problem at all. If I turn it right down, I can't, and I would say here now on its really low setting, that's about the same as the UCO Candle. So I think this is a much more practical light, really. You can actually do stuff by it if you've got it kind of turned down low there. Let's take it inside the tent and have a little look. Hope you can see that okay. This is just inside the MSR Tindheim here. That's absolutely fine, but to be honest, I'm not really comfortable having this inside the tent. You know, if I put this on the ground and give it a little bash, that absolutely wouldn't be ideal at all. I'm much happier with it out in the porch. Cool light though. But out in the porch there, I've got a nice little light. I could do tasks, move things around, absolutely no problem at all. So the fire maple's just cooled down after 3 or 4 minutes. Pop that off the gas. Store the little controller there. There's the box. Just pop that inside there. A little bit of rattle. So I think what I might do is use some of this foam inside. Yeah, I think I'll use that because I'm sure that's quite safe, but I don't want that rattling around inside, kind of like damaging the glass and taking a noise. So I think I will just use a little tiny bit of this foam. Let's just try that right now. Let's just get all Heath Robinson. We'll just put a little tiny piece of that foam inside. That's it, sorted. So in summary, what do we think about these lanterns? So they're both absolutely great, aren't they? I'm sure a lot of people will comment and they won't be persuaded at all to part from their precious UCO Candle lantern. I've just had that on its side there and it's licked all burnt wax down the side, but that's my misuse. But I think the fire maple is quite a lot more practical to use, and since it's quite controllable, to me in some ways feels a little bit safer as long as you keep it on a kind of like a flat surface with plenty of space around it. But I really like it, and it's going to be a little bit lighter really, and it's got a nice container. I tend to keep this in an old sunglasses case. That's perhaps less vulnerable once it's stored away, but this will be fine in this case. So let me know if you're going to try one over this winter, and don't forget I'm going to be doing that winter test about heat and condensation. Can it kind of change things with a kind of freezing winter tent situation? But overall, they're not really practical lights, are they? We're not in 1925, but they're just like a lot of fun, and might give a little bit of heat and a little bit of cheer and just that lovely ambience to your tent. Right, thanks for watching. Let's turn this horrible electric light off and just enjoy the glow. That's better.